Fast travel is definitely not the most straightforward element in Dragon's Dogma 2. Hell, early on in the game it seemed like it barely even had fast travel, but there are 8 potential fast travel points in the game, and 6 of those are reusable port crystals that you can earn, despite only 1 of those being earned through the main path of the game. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to get all 6 port crystals in Dragon's Dogma 2. Now the first one is by far the most basic, and there's not really too much to explain here. You do get this through doing the main path of the game. Brant will essentially give this to you after you finish his little series of quests. There's probably like 5 or so quests that he gives you there, sort of towards the middle of that main story, and he will give you the port crystal right before you head to Batal for the first time. So that one is super easy, and what I would recommend is that once you do get to Batal, it is worth putting that port crystal down, just because there isn't one there, and it is obviously a very long trek to actually get to Batal. Now the next one you can get is also in Vernworth, or at least you can begin to get it, I guess, and that is through this quest line that you can start by talking to Glindwyr, the elven character that stands over near the smith. Head over and talk to him. He'll ask you to give him a human-made bow, which is essentially just any bow early on in the game. So if you don't have one, just buy one from the smith right next to you. Just the cheapest one will do, and then give that to Glindwyr. After that, you can then set off on a quest with him. He'll send you over to the sort of northwest area of Vermund, and it is pretty easy to get there, so just head on over. Before you do head though, it is worth changing to the archer vocation just before doing these quests. It doesn't really matter if you're level 1, you just need to be able to use a bow. Head to Glindwyr's location. He'll ask you to show him how to use the bow by shooting at these practice targets behind you, so just do that. I think you only need to hit it maybe once or twice, and then that is essentially the first part of the quest done. He'll thank you, and then he won't really have any more dialogue options after that. So what you'll need to do is head back to Vernworth, rest for 1 day, and he will be back where he was the first time. Once he's back, talk to him again, and he'll then ask you to follow along to support him for his trial. He'll ask you to head to another location that is actually pretty close to the last one. So what I'll say is that if you do have a spare port crystal before you've done that first part of this quest, I would recommend just putting it down where you speak to him, because then you can just fast travel back. It is going to save you a lot of time. If not, it's not too hard to get there anyway. Now once you're there, you will meet with him, and then he'll actually jog along with you. So just follow him, and he will actually lead you to the Elven city, where he'll also translate for you too, because for those who didn't know, you cannot understand the elves in this game. They not only speak a different language, but even the dialogue on screen is written in Elven, and you just cannot understand what they're saying. Now once you're in the city, you'll find out that his sister has been taken by an ogre, and it is in the ancestral cave. So from there, just follow him, and he'll lead you on how to get there. Heading to the cave, it is pretty straightforward, and eventually you will come to that ogre. Now you don't actually have to kill the ogre. The task is just to pick up his sister and carry her to safety. So just do that, take her back out of the cave, and the quest is over. At the end, you will be rewarded with a really good bow, 16,000 gold, and that port crystal. Now before we get on to the next one, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There is plenty more Dragon's Dogma 2 content on the way, so make sure you don't miss out. Now the next 2 port crystals you can get are actually both from the Sphinx. This is essentially a hidden little side quest in the game, and overall the Sphinx riddles do take a fair amount of time, but the 2 that you need to do to get these port crystals are actually really quick. It will honestly take you like less than 2 minutes once you actually get to the Sphinx, so keep that in mind. It's also worth noting the next video on the channel will be a guide for all 10 of these Sphinx challenges, so if you're interested in doing all of them, there are some really good rewards. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel, because that will be the next video, but for the sake of this one, I'll just cover the 2 port crystals. Now like I said, the actual riddles are very simple, but getting to the Sphinx is a bit of a hassle. So here's what you need to do. You need to head to the checkpoint rest town, and from there you want to head to the ancient battleground, which you can see here on the map. If you haven't been there before, just take a detour off the left of the main road once you're heading out of the checkpoint rest town, and you pretty much can't miss it from there. Now normally I would say to avoid the enemies on the right there, but for an upcoming port crystal, it may actually be worth taking out that dragon. So just keep that in mind. If you don't really want to do that just yet though, just hug the wall on the left and head up this hill and into the castle. From there, you want to take out these skeletons, or to be honest, you can just run past them. If you want, head to the left and head up this winding staircase, and then up the ladder to get above ground. Now from here, if you have been here before, you may have a ladder that is already on this wall right next to you. If that is there, then obviously just use that. If not, don't worry, just head over to this next hole in the ground, head down that ladder, and then follow this path up a few stairs. It'll take you to another winding staircase, and then you can find another ladder, head up that ladder, and you will just end up in the same spot where that other ladder I just mentioned pretty much leads you to. Once you are there, it is worth just knocking that ladder down in case you ever need to use it in the future. Now from here, head up these stairs. If you haven't been here before, there will be a Cyclops guarding some items, so just take him out. Be sure to loot him and the chest that he was guarding for some really good warrior items that are definitely something you don't want to miss. After that, just head up this ladder ladder to the left, head through the broken wall and head into this cave. From here it is pretty much impossible to get lost. There's really only one path to take. If you do feel like you're at a dead end, just keep an eye out for a breakable boulder, because I did get a little bit stuck on that. You can just break that and it will clear the way, and then from there it is pretty much impossible to get lost. Keep in mind there are a bunch of ghosts in here, so it is worth just running past them. They're super annoying, so yeah, just try and get out of the cave as soon as you can. They don't really deal too much damage or anything, they're just very annoying. Now eventually you will get out of that cave to where you come across a golem. You don't really have to take it out, but in my opinion it is probably worth it. I do love the boss fights in this game, so take out the golem, or if you can't really be bothered, just honestly run straight past it. Now after the golem, continue along the same path and you will eventually make it to this awesome view. Just head up those stairs and you are finally at the Sphinx. Now from here it is pretty easy to get the port crystals if that's all you're after for now. If that is the case, it is worth putting down the spare port crystal so that you can actually just travel back here for the rest of the riddles later on. Now once you go and talk to the Sphinx, firstly what you want to do is the Riddle of Madness. After she's done talking, literally just go and pick up your main pawn, place them on the altar and speak to the Sphinx again. That will pass her test and she'll open up this chest over to the left there, and in that chest you will find the first port crystal. Once you've picked it up, head back to her and now do the Riddle of Conviction. She'll pretty much just ask you for a precious item. It seems like she's going to keep it, but the trick is whatever you give her, she will actually duplicate. So when she asks you for an item, just give her your spare port crystal. She'll take it, you'll pass the test, and then when you open that next chest that unlocks, it'll actually contain 2 port crystals instead of 1. Like I said, that is all I'm going to cover for this video just to save a bit of time, but if you want to do all of these trials, keep your eyes peeled for the next video because I'll be going over all 10 of these Sphinx riddles. Now moving on to the next one, this can actually be purchased, but you cannot purchase it for money. You will have to get it via Worm's Life crystals that can be only obtained by killing dragons, or at least damaging them, because sometimes you can actually get some when you're fighting them even if you don't kill them. But yeah, essentially you have to fight dragons to get these crystals. Now you'll need 20 of the crystals to buy it, so the first thing you're going to need to do is obviously slay some dragons. If you did slay that dragon down in the ancient battleground, you should have some already. I think they usually give about 16, so you may actually have to kill 2 dragons unfortunately, but you might already have picked some up from that first dragon in Melve as well. So yeah, just check your inventory. All you need to know is that you need 20. Now if you don't have 20 crystals yet, then the ancient battleground one, as well as this location that is all the way down in Batal, this is where you can find another guaranteed dragon, plus you will unlock the Mystic Spear Hand if you don't have that already. So that is the only other confirmed, like, guaranteed dragon that I know of. You can get other dragon spawns in different locations on the map, but they are a bit more random. Whereas I know for a fact if you go to this one, the dragon is guaranteed to spawn there. So head to that one, try and take out that dragon, and you should have those 20 crystals. Now, once you do have 20 or more crystals, you want to head to Back Batal, and you want to head out this back entrance that takes you to the coastline. Now, you should have already been here through the story. I'm not 100% sure if you can get this guy to appear before this section of the story, but it is only a mission or 2 after the Brant ones that I mentioned earlier. So even if you haven't done this yet, it shouldn't take too long to do. Just pretty much do the main story and you will eventually come to this guy anyway. Just follow this path along the coastline, head into this cave, and in there you will find a guy called the Dragon Forged. Speak to him and you can buy a port crystal for 20 Worm's Life crystals. Now, last but not least, we have got the Griffin Nest in the Misty Marshes. This one is fairly easy, but it is kind of just annoying because you can't really see where you're going, so it's going to be very hard for me to actually show you where to go. There are a few different areas that you can enter from. What I will say is that the easiest is from this right entrance that you can see on the map here. The other 2 are just a bit more annoying to actually get to those entrances in the first place. So this one is probably the easiest. You can get here pretty much just from walking on the main path from Vernworth, though it is obviously a while away. Now, this marker on the map shows roughly where the nest is, but of course you can't actually see shit in here because it is super misty, so you do kind of just have to guess. It is worth putting a marker in sort of like the middle bottom section of this misty area. That'll just kind of give you a guide as to where to go. Now, from that entrance that I just mentioned, you pretty much just want to hug the left side as much as you can. You will have to climb a few rocks and stuff, but eventually you'll make it further into the mist, and you'll know you're in the right place when you find this broken down building and the wooden structure. You can use that as kind of a checkpoint because once you're there, you're pretty much at the Griffin. From there, it is just a slight left until you get to the more rocky area where you can just climb up these rocks and eventually you will find the griffin. Obviously, take out the griffin and in its nest you'll find that 6th port crystal as well as some other goodies too. Technically, you don't actually have to kill the griffin, so you can run in there and just steal it and run away if you're not in a high enough level, but it is probably worth killing the griffin anyway. So anyway, those are all 6 port crystals in Dragon's Dogma 2, at least the 6 that I know of anyway, and I've looked around the internet and no one else seems to have mentioned any others either. So as far as I'm aware, these are the only ones, but hey, if I'm wrong on that, please do correct me down in the comment section. Like I said earlier, keep your eyes peeled for the Sphinx video that will be next up on the channel. So if you are new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day and I'll catch you all in the next one.